The next step is to build a snowflake. To build the snowflake, we're going to start like we usually do by opening up a new part file. And then once you get into your part file, you're going to start with a 2D sketch. And I'm going to build mine on the XY plane. Now, the tool that we're going to use to build our sketch is called a polygon. Now, on yours, you might have to go like under rectangle, and it's one of the drop-down menus. So I've used polygon before, it's already there. And we are going to use a hexagon or a 6-sided polygon. When I draw my polygon, I'm going to place the center first, and I want the center to be on the origin. That's that yellow dot in the middle of my page. When you hover over it, it should turn green. That's how you know you're in the right spot. So I'm going to click that and drag out for my polygon. Then you just do right click and OK. Next I'm going to dimension my polygon, and I want it to be 1 inch across. So I click on a left line, then a right line, dimension that to be 1 inch. The other thing that we need to do, because it says it's still I need one more dimension, I'm going to use what we call a geometric constraint. In this case, it's one that looks like 2 vertical lines, and that's called vertical. What it's going to do, it's going to lock this polygon in an upright position so that it can't twist or turn at all. So I'm going to put on one of the lines that's already vertical with the vertical constraint. You'll notice it turns blue, that locked it into place. This little icon right here is telling me that that line has to be vertical. That's just another type of dimension we can use. Once I have my polygon, I'm going to finish my sketch, and I'm going to extrude this 1/4 of an inch. After I have my polygon extruded, I'm going to add more details by creating another 2D sketch on top of the polygon. And I'm going to add basically a piece that comes up next, and then we're going to use a pattern tool to copy it around the outside. So I'm going to draw a rectangle now. Like I said, you might have to use that drop-down menu. I'm going to use a 2-point rectangle. And then I'm just going to draw in a rectangle right about here. Dimensions, not super important yet, because we'll add those in. So just kind of estimating where that sketch will go. Now I want this piece to come off it to be fairly tall. So I'm going to give it a height of 1.5 inches. Zoom out so I can see it better. I also want it to be narrower. So I'm going to make this just 0.2. But I want it to be centered. Right now you can see it's kind of off to the left side. In order to center it, I'm going to click on my outside line and then my center point. And I want that to be half of my width. So half of 0.2 is 0.1. So I'm going to put that 0.1 away. And that is that it slides it over so that it's centered now. Now since some of my lines are green, that means I still need one more dimension. In this case, it's going to feel kind of like a duplicate, but the computer wants to know how high up your rectangle is from this center point. So in this case, it's again just going to be 1.5. Now that I'm fully constrained, I'm going to finish my sketch, and I'm going to extrude this piece as well. Same distance as before, 0.25, but I don't want it coming out the front. I want to go in the opposite direction so that it matches the depth of my first polygon. So I'm just going to change the direction. Now sometimes when you change direction, it tries to turn it into a cut. If that happens to you, just change it back to joining or adding, like that. And you've now got kind of a spoke that's coming off of your polygon. Now I want to copy the spoke in a circular pattern on the outside. The way that I'm going to do this is by using this pattern tool called circular pattern. So I'm going to click on circular pattern, and the feature that I want to copy is this spoke. So you can either click on the spoke in your workspace, or you can click on it in the browser. Now the rotation axis is what I want to spin around. So we're actually going to go into the origin folder to find a rotation axis. So I'm going to click the plus sign to expand it, and if you hover over, you see the different directions. In my scenario, my z-axis is in the middle, so I'll click on the z-axis, and notice how this green is kind of showing like a preview of what my pattern looks like. And I'll just hit OK, and now it's copied that pattern all over my snowflake. Now to make my snowflake more intricate, I'm going to add another pattern to it. So I'm creating another 2D sketch of my original polygon. And this time I'm going to do a little cutout in the center here. So I'm going to actually make another polygon. This time I'm going to make a triangle. So that'll be 3 sides. And I'm just going to put this triangle down at the bottom here. Not too worried about dimensions yet. I'll dimension it into place. Right click and hit OK. Now notice right now my triangle is a little bit tilted. So to prevent that from being tilted, I'll use another one of these geometric constraints to straighten it out. So like this line at the bottom, I want that to be horizontal. So I'm going to use this horizontal constraint. I just click on horizontal, then I click on my bottom line. Notice how it tilts the triangle into place. Now I'll go back to my normal numerical dimensions. For example, I want this bottom section, let's say, to be 0.4. That's a little bit too big. I'm just going to make it smaller, 0.25. Right now, you notice it's not quite on the bottom here. So to make this on the bottom, I'll click on my bottom line and on that center point. I want this distance to be 0. That's going to slide it down. Then I also need to make sure that this center point of the triangle lines up with the center of my snowflake. So click on each center point, and then now this width is pretty tiny right now, but I actually want that to be 0 as well. And now I have a triangle in the middle, and I'm actually going to cut this triangle out. So we can use extrude to cut. Just switch it to cut instead of join, and then hit OK. And notice now we've cut out the middle of our snowflake. Now again, I want to pattern this, kind of create a cool pattern in the middle. So I'm going to do circular pattern. We click on the feature that we want to copy, which in this case is the triangle. You're going to notice when it's a straight on view, it's hard to click on it. So just put your view at an angle, and then you can click. And then our rotation axis again in the origin folder is the z-axis. The green shows the preview, and you hit OK. And we've got a cool pattern now in the middle of our snowflake. Since every snowflake is supposed to be unique, everyone is going to start with this base model. Then you're going to add at least 3 patterns of your own. So you can use whatever sketch tools you want, whether that's polygons, rectangles, circles, but you need to make additional patterns onto your snowflake. If you want to make more than 3 patterns, you can, but to receive credit, you have to add 3 patterns to this base. At the end, feel free to change your color to snow or something that you'd like as well.